I am spending an extraordinary amount of my time watching compost, and I expect I am not alone. Eagerly looking for signs of germinating seedlings and then carefully tending to them once they reveal themselves and start to put on growth. I did not manage to get any seeds sown this weekend. I didn't have any compost left. This did mean I could spend much of my time potting on and watering. This has to be one of my favourite times of year. As much as I love my studio, the condensation is a real nuisance. This means that every autumn I need to remove anything in the studio that could be ruined by the damp conditions. And that means finding room in my already crowded house to fit bags, boxes, paper, ribbons, the list goes on. So what I simply do not understand is if I remove 60% of the studio contents, why and how does it get into such a mess? I am embarrassed to show you what becomes of my studio during the winter months. It's simply nothing more than a dumping ground, which now needs organising ready for my 2025 floristry. So with no compost to distract me, I finally decided to tackle one of those jobs I have been putting off, but that desperately needed doing. So one of the first things we did was add this sort of a white, it's a roofing underlay. And although it's not going to completely resolve the issues we have in here, I'm hoping that it will at least improve the condensation so that I won't have quite so much dripping water. My studio space is fairly small. It's actually only 11 foot by 13 foot. So I need to be smart with my use of space. So very, very reluctantly, one of my first jobs to free up some more room is to remove my much loved armchair. I have drunk many cups of tea from this chair and was very sorry to see it go. One of the things I've always loved about my studio is to have a separate table for wrapping. In my first year, I used the same table for everything, and as a result, often had water seep onto my paper while wrapping the flowers. One of the downsides was that the table is really quite low. It's just not an ideal height to work at while standing. I found leaning over it a literal pain. So I've decided to raise my table to a more usable height for standing. So nothing fancy here. I just decided I would prop the table up using some breeze blocks. I have this great little cabinet that used to belong to my parents when they got married. I hate throwing things away, as you never know when they may come in handy. It is an absolutely perfect fit for this space. I did, of course, measure it first. I have a great view of my cottage garden. Well, I do if I can see out of the windows. My windows are west facing, so it is incredibly cool in here in the mornings. But due to the galvanised roof, it does heat up in the afternoon. I do not have any form of artificial light in here, so I am totally reliant on light when it comes in through my windows and my skylight. By removing my armchair, I was able to put together an additional shelving unit, which is a much more sensible use of space. I have finally decided to invest in a new piece of kit, and I'm really hoping it will live up to my expectations. When my roll of paper ran out last season, I ordered some pre-cut sheets, but I also ordered a slightly different paper on a roll. So I've gone ahead and ordered a paper dispenser from Kite Packaging. I absolutely hated using scissors to cut all of my paper. I often wasted paper by cutting my lines not straight enough and then having to recut. I'm hoping I can now put all of that behind me and get to grips with my new toy. Well, I have made some huge progress, but my lobby area is still a bit of a no-go zone. This is where I keep most of my gardening equipment and currently a lot of cardboard boxes. Unfortunately, a mouse, and yes, this is another mouse, has eaten a lot of the foam inserts from my hydro propagator. So I'm going to need to replace them before I can start using it again. And then this is just my tiny little functioning heated germination station, which is just 2 domestic size heated propagators and some grow lights. Okay, here we go. Time for the big reveal, and obviously this has all been done on a budget, and apart from buying myself a few little floristry tools like the paper dispenser and a few other tiny little things I'll show you in a minute, the only thing that actually cost me any real money was the new shelving unit, but everything else is done on a budget, but hopefully will still be fit for purpose. I am really hoping that reconfiguring this space will make it easier to work in. But not only that, I'm hoping it will be easier to film in as well. My new chair does not look quite as comfy as its predecessor. Priority for comfort definitely goes to the dogs, who are yet to try out their new dozing spot. I should really try and find them to get them to test it out. So I've popped my bin under the table alongside the dog bed. So this table is the one that I raised up last year. And this is the table that I use for all of my floristry. This table has just been raised up on some pallets. And I guess it raises it, I should think, about 5 inches. It's a really good sized table, and it's at a much more comfortable working height. You can see I've cleaned my mirror and popped that now actually right next to the table, so I should be able to easily use it to see my bridal flowers as I'm making the bouquets. And then I've got a sort of a basic floristry kit here, and I've just got that to my side, so anything I need sort of imminently I can just get hold of without having to walk over and retrieve it from one of the drawers. And my new cabinet has allowed me to improve my wrapping area, or wrapping station if you like, because now I've got room to keep all of my tissue papers actually alongside the table, rather than having to walk across the room to the shelving unit as I did previously. I have white, burgundy and green tissue paper, and then I mentioned I've also got some pre-cut brown paper sheets that actually I haven't opened yet. So it'll be interesting to see what I end up favouring. Will I favour the pre-cut sheets or using my new paper dispenser? So I've used this drawer for all of the things I might need during wrapping. My original stamp is quite small. I ordered it in that size because it was perfect for stamping gift tags. But then when I would stamp my bouquet papers, it looked absolutely microscopic. So I decided I would order another bigger stamp. And actually, I've made the decision to order black ink because up until now I've been using brown, but actually it's not very, very clear. So in this drawer, I've also got my business cards and my care cards, which I send out with my flowers so that people know how to get the longest vase life from them. And I staple those onto my bunches. And another great new toy for attaching my gift tags is just really simple. It's a new single hole punch, which is going to be much easier than using my old A4 school one. And generally I need to put a bit of twine or ribbon through when I'm presenting flowers in jam jars. And I also always tie the gift tag to my bouquets. And then I've just got a selection of ribbons and twines. And then I've got some new gift bags. And I'm hoping to use these gift bags just as a nicer presentation of my flower jars and the flowers that I present in vases. I've even pre-cut a whole load of lengths of twine ready for tying bouquets. Under the table, I have all of my large vessels for any large arrangements that I'm making. And I've also got a few bits of chicken wire under here, which I use as mechanics. And then on the other side, I've even got a full-sized milk churn. Oh, and then of course I've got my stack of flower buckets. And of course now I've got two sets of shelves, which are for vases and jars, and some of the baskets that I have previously used for my market stand presentation. Lots of the vases are ones that I've collected over the years, but I also have some that I've purchased specifically to resell. I've got more vases and jars in this dresser, and then I've got a really good selection of pots up on the shelf. And then look at this great chest. I just love this, and the best part is that it belonged to my great-great-grandfather, who actually used it while travelling. And it gets better. I've got another one that's even bigger. And I love using these for pictures, not only for pictures, but they are great for storage too. My dresser is home to lots of my floristry sundries, pins, bands, tape, wrist corsages, wires, pin holders, anything that I might need in the course of making buttonholes. In fact, I can't see my hair combs in here. I have to find those. And then in the other drawer, I've got things like my flower tubes, spare twine, basically anything that I may need. And I've been collecting these jars because these are the jars that I take with me on my flower deliveries. And if for some reason the recipient isn't home, I can just leave the bouquets or bunches in these jars, propped up on their doorstep or in the coolest place that I can find. I realise that my studio is not all that impressive, but I'm really, really pleased with it. And I'm now really, really looking forward to actually getting in here again and creating some floristry with you. So I'm really hoping this fabric on the ceiling will be a good solution and will prevent the condensation in here. And now we've got the studio all set up and ready to go. I cannot wait to start doing floristry in here, to try out my new stamp, to try out my new paper, my paper cutter, And of course, to start making bouquets again, I'm going to need a bit of practice because I haven't made one for months and months and months. So I'm really looking forward to that. And of course, I'm looking forward to bringing you along with me. And if you would like to come along on my gardening, growing, cut flower floristry journey, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And of course, if you did like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to contribute towards any of my videos, then you can buy me a coffee, and the link for coffee buying is in the description to the video. Thank you so much for coming with me again this week, and I will see you next time. For the first time ever, this is not dripping. So let's hope that it continues.